We'll quickly just touch on Spurs yesterday. Not good enough in terms of all aspects of the game. Manchester United were fragile as well, but absolutely run riot yesterday.
It was just embarrassing. It really was. And I mean, I looked at the stats against West Ham. I looked at the stats against Manchester United. And if there's ever a false stats going out there, it was them two games, because offered absolute zero. And I said, no one looked interested. In fact, Lucas Moura looked interested and he got dragged. So I do not know what's happening. And Harry Kane, what is going on with him at the moment? I mean, I look at Harry Kane and I was watching him closely and he's dropping so deep. I mean, Romero was more of an attacking threat than Harry Kane yesterday, and he's the centre defender. I mean, Crookie, when you see that, does it show that he doesn't like what the manager's doing and he's just playing his own game?
Yeah, and I don't believe he's the only one. Obviously, we are still waiting for official news from Spurs, but it does appear the writing could well be on the wall for Nuno. I did actually contact Tottenham earlier and asked if they were going to be releasing a statement. Silence possibly speaks volumes in this case, but from what I'm told, the players don't particularly enjoy Nuno's training regime. They don't particularly warm to him as a person. And he was following Jose Mourinho. I mean, we know Jose Mourinho had a big ego. From what I'm told, Nuno can probably fit into that bracket as well. And the performances have been dreadful. Even the games they've won this season have not been convincing. They were in the relegation places in terms of chance creation, expected goals, shots on goal. But you're correct to highlight Harry Kane, because we were on air last Sunday. We were very critical of Paul Pogba and his lack of effort, his attitude when he came on. If you're going to make those criticisms of Paul Pogba, you have to do it about the England captain as well, because he looks disinterested. And I think there's an air of inevitability. He wanted to go to Manchester City. He was desperate to go to Manchester City, and he carries the look of someone who would rather be anywhere but North London at this moment in time. But I don't think you can wave a magic wand if you're Daniel Levy. I don't think removing Nuno is necessarily going to have a massive uplifting effect, because he wasn't the first choice anyway. He wasn't the sporting director's choice who they wanted to bring in. They wanted Antonio Conte. I think they still want Antonio Conte, but I'd be very surprised if that happens. But if you look at the recruitment and the money spent, actually right back to when they sold Gareth Bale, the signings have just not been good enough. I mean, you mentioned Lucas Moura going off. That was a strange decision. Bergwijn came on. He wasn't cheap. He's been poor. Lo Celso's been poor. And Ndombele, you have to question his attitude. So I think there's deep problems in that football club. And I think it'll be fascinating to see what happens in January, because Manchester City clearly still need a number 9. We saw that against Palace yesterday. Harry Kane wants to leave. Maybe Daniel Levy might realise in January that actually it's best for all concerned if they just cash in. They probably won't get the money that they may have got in the summer, but use that money and actually reinvest in the team, because it's a terrible team. It's a terrible squad. You take Kane and Son out of it and maybe Lucas Moura, they are a bottom half team.
I think if there was ever a time to play Manchester United as well, it was at that time when they're low on confidence. Listen, they've said that we're together at the training ground, etc., but they're low on confidence. So what's the first thing you should do? You go out and you attack them. They offered absolute zero.
You think Graham Potter would leave Brighton to go to Tottenham?
Yeah, I do. I think he would leave. I think he should, if he had the opportunity.
To go to where?
To go to Spurs.
You think?
I do.
Why should he?
I just feel Spurs are a bigger club than Brighton.
But they are a better managed club than Brighton.
At the moment, Brighton are probably in a false position, let's say. If they finish top 10 this season, it's been an unbelievable season for Brighton. They're sitting currently in 7th place, I believe.
Is that a former Crystal Palace fan talking, though?
Absolutely not, no. Find me anyone that says Spurs isn't a bigger club than Brighton.
I think it's a big... Listen, I think there's no doubt it's a bigger club. But if you look at the state of the two clubs at the minute and where they are, is Spurs a more attractive job right now than Brighton?
You think it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Ricky?
It is.
I'm not convinced.
Financially, he'll be better off. And it's not all about finances. But listen, money talks. Let's be honest, in the game of football, money talks. Spurs perceived or potentially perceived to be a big club. So I think Brighton are not perceived to be a big club at the moment. Whether that changes in the future, who knows? I think the stadium is absolutely fantastic. There's question marks over Daniel Levy, of course there is. So that when you said, are they run better? Probably not. But they need to be more ambitious. And if they... Listen, Nuno was Spurs' 7th choice manager maybe. He's lost all London derbies. Watford, I mean, is that classed as a London derby for Spurs? I don't.
Well, Watford's in Hertfordshire, so probably
yeah,
not.
Exactly. So they've lost. He's happy with that one, wasn't he?
He loved it, didn't he? Aggressive as well. When
anything south of me is London, so that's what I'm going to say. But look, he's lost all London derbies. If they want to try, if they do get rid of Nuno and they want to bring back the so-called Spurs attacking way, Graham Potter there's no one better at the moment.